2 talks, followed by breakout rooms. And then I don't know how long that will take, but I'm hoping that there'll be time. I'm sure there'll be time for a meditation towards the end and finishing with the last Vandana. So I'm always really interested to hear what people are going to come up with in these talks. They're a bit of an unknown quantity, and I think that, for me, that lends a bit of spice to the occasion. So I'm going to ask Nan if she will unmute herself and if she will start us off with her talk, please. Thank you, Nan.
Thank you, Jayaratna. I will have to refer to my notes, so excuse me if I'm looking down at all. First of all, I'd like to say what a pleasure it is to be able to sit and talk to you like this. It's great. Well, I've offered to talk to you about my practice this evening. Now, do I mean piano practice? No. Do I mean tennis practice? No. I am, of course, referring to my commitment to the Buddhist path and my own journey, which began some years ago now. My experience of Buddhism is that it is an all-encompassing, and yet I can break the journey down to the minutiae of life as I live it. However, this is not all about me. As we know, it's important to remember at this point that the Buddha encouraged his followers to practice for the welfare of the many, something which has always appealed to me and which I have endeavored to pursue in my professional life as a nurse, so in daily life. Now, I try to dedicate actions and words as appropriate for the benefit of all sentient beings. I wish to be kind and caring, but imperfections still arise on a regular basis. I found through experience that I need to show some compassion for myself too. After all, I am only human. In the Triratna movement, we have the opportunity, as you know, to take refuge in the 3 jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Enlightened One. I take refuge in the Dharma, the ancient texts which contain so much wisdom. These texts have been ably translated by Sangha and many, many others over the years. I also take refuge in the Sangha, which offers valuable spiritual friendship to all and has been especially valuable in the last 12 months, which I'm sure we would all agree. At this point, I wish to refer to my recent experience of renewing my Mitra vows, which I first undertook in 2016. Seems a long time ago, but it really isn't that long ago, I suppose. I personally feel that this year was the right time to renew my commitment to my practice, to the worldwide movement of Triratna, and last but not least, to the Sangha at Shrewsbury, which is very close to my heart. It has been a very special experience for me personally, the Mitra ceremony, and I was supported by our Mitra convener, Jyoti Dana, by order members Bhadra Devi and Saravantu, who I see is here tonight, and by my Mitra friends. As an online ceremony, I can thoroughly recommend it. I wasn't quite sure how it would work, but who was totally brilliant. And there was a lot of joy involved. Now I come to the discipline of meditation. We've all been enjoying the recent weeks with talks on meditation, which have been very beneficial. Meditation helps me to knit everything together. And that can be quite a task at times. I have here a quote from a friend, which I find very perceptive. Buddhism teaches that the only world which exists for us in practice is the world we perceive with our mind. And that is the kernel of it for all of us. I'll just read that again. Buddhism teaches that the only world which exists for us in practice is the world we perceive with our mind. So it follows that if my mind is confused and clouded with delusions, then so too my world will also be perceived in the same way. And of course, this happens on many occasions. Somehow one doesn't seem to catch on to that one. In meditation over the years, I always hope to train my mind to be less confused with delusions, to be more aware. I use my body as the host or the house, the anchor, and allow my meditation experience to happen. I try to approach meditation with the right intention, knowing that my mind will always be busy with habitual thoughts. And I just wait and hope that the gap will come. Occasionally it does. I hope the meditation will plant seeds which will eventually bear fruit. So in meditation, I always endeavor to try and come back to the moment. After all, it is all that I have. After my meditation, the candles are dimmed, the flowers remain, the incense pervades the room and the shrine. I close the door of my room and go forward to the world. At this point, it's important to reflect upon the actions I take off the cushion. After all, this is where the Buddha's work really begins. I have at least learnt that over the years. And I finish with a quote from Milarepa. He was a Tibetan monk and poet in the 11th century. I expect many of you know of him. An example of someone who progressed from the cycle of confusion, that is samsara, to becoming a student, entering and practicing the path of Dharma. And the quote, "When I look inwardly to the self-aware mind, I clearly see the light of the inner lamp. Of ignorant blindness, I have no fear." This has been just a tiny slice of my life in which Buddhism plays a significant role. I hope it's been of interest to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nan. Yeah. Gosh, you covered a lot in that time. Yeah.
I didn't really think I'd said very much, actually.
I think it's a pretty good description of the spiritual life. Yeah. Well done. Yeah. Taking refuge, the place of meditation in your life. Yeah. Yes, I really
Well, I've had
enjoyed
some
it.
years at it, Jayaratna. I've had a few years to try and sort it. So
Yeah, well, so have I, but I don't know if I haven't managed it yet. But you seem to be on the right road, don't you? Do you feel
who
you are?
knows? Who knows? It's just nice to share anyway, and to hit, to be among friends as we are, and to putting it down and thinking about it is a good exercise in itself.
Good. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Helen, if you'd like to go next. I can't say much about you because I've never actually met you. I think that's true for just about everybody. So I'm very interested to hear what you're going to have to say. I've only spoken to you very briefly in breakout rooms. So I'm really looking forward to giving you a bit more time to talk about yourself and your practice, if that's what you want to talk about. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, and away you go.
Okay, well, again, thank you for the opportunity. AK approached sort of me about 3 or 4 weeks ago about this, so I've been sort of cogitating about it and whether to do it, thanks Arahantu, or not ever since. So like Kalev, I thought I'd use this as a bit of an intro to me, because I realised that people have just kind of seen me. I don't normally even have a light on, as a kind of, I don't know, disembodied head at Sangha. So yeah, just thought I'd do that. So a few people know me, but I'll just kind of say something briefly about certainly how long I've been knocking about the Buddhist scene, which is about, well, less than a year. I bumped into my first Buddhist 2 weeks before lockdown, and then emailed her about a month or two later, and went to Sangha for the first time April or May, which is Llangollen Sangha, which I'm still a member of, and yeah, really enjoy going to. So Buddhist wise, I did the intro course with them, and we've probably been going now since about July, our course, with about a break in the summer. So covered kind of basics like worldly winds, conditionality we're doing at the moment, Brahma Viharas and Lakshanas. So, but very, very squeaky new to stuff. I do spend quite a bit of time talking to people who've been around Buddhism for a long time. So I've got a vague idea of what I call Bud speak. And just a vocabulary warning, in case I get it wrong, please feel free to ask me to clarify at the end, because yeah, I am feeling a bit nervous and I might be just rambling. So what I've kind of jotted was, I basically did a spider diagram of what I thought about metta and my journey through it, to kind of introduce myself to you guys a bit, and also meditation. And I'm hoping that I'll have time to do both, because one, yeah, they kind of are very, very different and balance each other. So I'll just start rambling and see how that goes. Okay, just looking at my notes as well. So my relationship to metta, I suppose, has been quite a difficult one. I didn't have an altogether bad childhood, but it wasn't great, and some of it was quite abusive, kind of social services level these days. So that led me to just, I'm not enough, and sort of striving to be enough, and all that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, self-metta was not kind of, you know, low self-esteem. Self-metta was not something that I could do, or was in my vocabulary, or anything like that. Not what metta was at that point. And that kind of continued with the striving. So I was striving to achieve, rather, you know, the way that some people strive for stuff and think that stuff will make them happy. I did achievements because I thought maybe achievements would make me happy and worthy, and all that sort of stuff. So I am a high achiever, but for all the wrong reasons. And I've not had any more pleasure in that than anyone would have, you know, buying a Ferrari. after the first 5 minutes or whatever. So yeah, that's in some ways quite sad. So what else? So I actually, you know, I did quite badly relatively at my A levels and first degree, and suffered a bit with not great mental health until about the summer, and I still struggle with living alone and loneliness and all that sort of stuff. And I guess for me, that journey started turning around when I did my PGC a couple of years ago, and I got diagnosed for dyslexia. When I realised, oh, maybe I wasn't really that thick. It was just I didn't know and I didn't have the help. And when I was doing my first degree and school, it just wasn't recognised. So yeah, that was one thing that turned it around. Another thing that turned it around is that in November, before lockdown, I went on a self-esteem course, and I have no clue what was said on that course. But what I did notice was that there were lots of people like me. And I just thought, oh, they're really lovely. Why are they on a self-esteem course? What on earth? Why? And they reacted the same way as me and had the same sort of insecurities. And that was one thing that just completely turned me around. And yeah. And the other thing was probably about January last year. I'm doing a master's in clinical counselling, and one of my tutors put me on to Kristen Neff and Paul Gilbert, who are both into self-compassion and academic writers. And I started having a look at that and realised that the evidence was contrary to my belief of if I flagellate myself, I will be a better person. But if I was nice to myself and I was kind to myself, actually that would help me be nice not only to myself but to other people. And it was a bit of an eye-opener. And certainly the Paul Gilbert stuff, I think his book The Compassionate Mind, there's a passage in that that kind of takes you from primordial sludge and all the conditions that ends you up being here right now. And that really spoke to me. And I didn't know what conditionality was then, the Buddhist term of it, but that really kind of went, oh, I don't need to beat myself up for everything I do, because it's just conditionality effectively. And that really turned it around for me as well. That's, yeah, sort of, yeah, I didn't ask to be born. It would just all happened. Everything just happened. And now I take responsibility, you know, for what I can. But a lot of it, yeah, conditionality, samskaras, all that, well, hey, it just is. So that was a big kind of turning point as well. And just a bit about, yeah, my gratitude practice, because I'd had a very negative childhood. 7 or 8 years ago, I started writing down one nice thing each day, so that, yeah, I'd have loads of nice things. And then after Saravantu's talk in December, I started adding a rejoicing in merits thing as well, because previously to that, I thought, oh, if I congratulate myself on stuff, I'll just become arrogant and the world will fall apart and stuff like that. And actually, it makes complete sense with the self-compassion stuff. But I hadn't thought to do it. So thank you, Saravantu, for that. Yeah. And kind of, yeah, and the preparation for this talk as well has really made me challenge. So this sort of am I enough thought, and it's just been so growthful preparing for this, really, to be able to kind of come to a place more of I'm enough just as a human being, rather than I'm enough because I've achieved things and strive and try hard. So yeah, that's my meta kind of, yeah, journey, if you like. I've got time to do meditation. Yeah. Okay. So my meditation journey is, in a way, kind of a bit of a contrast in that. So as a child, I played an instrument, and I think quite a lot of people are into classical music here, so at least I don't feel too, I don't know, fish out of water with that. And also I played badminton, and I did both of these to quite a high standard because I thought this would, you know, make life better and all the rest of it. And what I didn't realize that in was that these were hyper focused things. And I think in Buddhist terms, so that was jhana. So I was in those states really from being a child, although I didn't see those as abnormal because all my friends would have been concentrated and all the rest of it as well. Um, but I guess because of that, I realized that my mind didn't have to be busy the whole time, or I didn't realize it was just that was a natural state. So I kind of spent my life chasing body scans and any things like that going. And in my shamanic practice that I did for a bit, there was stuff about leaving your body. So there was that sort of peace when there was a drum going on and you were just kind of essentially that sort of meditating. So that was really useful when I was working because I found work quite stressful and I didn't want to have that in my mind because I couldn't sleep. So I guess I did those sorts of things in the evenings because those really, yeah, helped me. And I guess those were my meditation. I still don't know what meditation is, so just kind of wrote down a few things of what meditation means to me, I guess. And those, I guess, were things that, yeah, resonated with me. Yeah, with what I thought meditation was. So the other thing I realized when I was just jotting thoughts about my meditation practice and how it's affected my life is that I realized that if I had prapancha going on, that chances are I was being triggered. And if I was having hateful thoughts, chances are it was, you know, something from somewhere in my background. And just realizing that just helped me kind of, instead of being angry with the person, kind of delving back. And what I found was when I delved back and found out what that link was, that my mind was quiet again. So that was really lovely. Because I don't know, I guess I think as prapancha is kind of both, I loved the radio idea last week that Vajrapriya threw out. And also kind of volume control, because I normally have tunes going through. But the way I realized, I guess, that I needed to go digging was if the volume went up to 9 or 10 and the stuff on the radio was really rather nasty instead of, I don't know, sort of nice, gentle tunes or something. And that was just, yeah, just really helpful to be a bit more kind of peaceful in my life, I suppose. And I guess more recently, I think Teja at one of the morning meditations sort of challenged me with Vedana as well. It's like, well, why don't you catch it at a Vedana level? It's like, oh, okay, let's try that then. So I've been having a look at that more recently, and that was only in the last few weeks. Yeah, because just, yeah, Vedana has just been amazing for me, just to realize that it can inform me about so much, whether it's comfort, I want to comfort eat, or whether I'm hungry, or whether I need to go for a walk, or, you know, whatever. And yeah, and just the other thing is that I went on my first mindfulness course probably 2-3 years ago now. And one of the things that they said was to kind of do this exercise, stop, look, listen when you're walking or talking. And this is a mindfulness for health course. I've done a couple of Vidyamala's courses. And just that act of walking through a field and stop, look, listening is, I've just got a stop, look, listen field that I have on the way to town. And yeah, just lets me, I don't know, take that breath, really reminds me to take that breath. And I've also got a processing field that, because I seem to process a lot and get insights and stuff when I just walk around. So that's the other bit of my meditation practice. I don't know whether that's meditation, but I kind of see it as part of my meditation practice, to just go there if I need to, I don't know, get some headspace, and stuff like that. Formal, and I guess just formal meditations. I do the 7 o'clock sometimes. I'm in another meditation group, and I do bits of leading now and stuff like that. Sometimes for the 7 o'clock, and another group that we're just mucking about in. Yeah, I think Jayaratna's unmuted. I'm done.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you. Goodness, such a lot in there. You've had a really, I was going to say busy. I don't know. I don't mean that in the conventional term. I just think you've got so much going on in such a short space of time, and it just seems wonderful stuff. Yeah, the Paul Gilbert stuff I think is really good. The self-compassion and the gratitude practice. I've been working through a book called Mindful Emotion, which is by Paramabandhu, and that's very strong on gratitude. Yeah, it was really good to hear quite a bit about your background and about your life. I really enjoyed that. So thank you very much. So thank you, both of you, for those talks. What I'd like to do is to go into breakout rooms, and I'm looking at the time. It's only 8:05. I think we could do 20 minutes in breakout to talk about our own practice and anything that's arisen in either Helen or Nan in the things they've said. So, Vajrapriya, if you could do the necessary, please, that would be great.